Welcome to Movie and a Beer, everybody. This is Dan Kapersky coming at you, and we have a wonderful episode today talking about the movie Gremlins. With us today are two awesome co-hosts.
It's Blake, the Mogwai expert.
And Randall, the horror movie expert. No, just kidding.
Yeah, this is children's horror.
Children's horror movie holiday expert.
So we had a discussion about what movie we were going to do. We were coming up on our 50th episode, and we were thinking, hey, it's Blake's birthday. Let's watch something from the year Blake was born.
1984.
Woohoo!
Good call.
Year of the Rat.
Yes.
Oh, really? Not the gremlin.
No, it was on the Chinese calendar in the restaurant we went to. Maybe it's not a different one.
Yeah, maybe. So we watched this film with a couple of good beers. We'll talk about those later from Matchless Brewing and Rogue Brewing. But really, this is a film we had all seen before, but it's been a really long time. I haven't seen it in close to 20 years.
I saw it on a big screen a little bit after 2010, like 14 or 15.
I feel like it's a film I've seen so many times that I knew it beat for beat, and yet when I watched it, I was so shocked at how much I forgot.
There's like, oh, I didn't know that happened. What? I don't understand. What? Yeah.
So good that my brain just had to block it out, so I'd be surprised when I saw it again.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, we'll go with that. That's a nice way to put it.
That's what happened.
This weird acid trip of a movie.
Yeah, so there's going to be plot spoilers in this because, the movie's been out for a while.
Yeah.
For 37 years. If you haven't seen it, suck it up.
Yeah, and there is a Gremlins 2, which we were going to watch, but we decided not to because we wanted to just preserve our most excellent memories of this crazy film, which was prior to PG-13 coming out. So yes, this is why they call it children's horror, because kids went to watch it because this opened the same weekend as Ghostbusters.
Yep.
And there was it made less than $1 million than Ghostbusters made that opening weekend. So it made a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. What did it gross? Like $130 million worldwide?
Yeah, something like that.
Like that,
People in the early to mid 80s were hungry for tiny creature based horror.
Yeah. And
your
Gremlins,
leprechauns, your critters.
So the film ultimately is narrated by the father who buys a gift for his son for Christmas.
A Mogwai.
He's on vacation, or he's not on vacation. He's on a sales trip. He's an inventor and makes really bad, creepy, weird inventions. They're kind of interesting. And it's, what did he say? He tries to make the unusual or impossible possible.
Inventor. Fantastic ideas for a fantastic world. I make the illogical logical.
Oh, yeah. That was his tagline.
That was such a good pitch.
Yeah.
They were great inventions if only they'd worked.
Go work
I mean, you don't want a bathroom
Right,
buddy,
exactly.
the thing that's out of
the
a
bathroom
brick
buddy.
spraying toothpaste all over you?
Yeah, and a razor
do you guys
that just
brush your
pops up. Yeah, it's basically he was making like Lego versions of things. It's like you can just attach things to it and press a button and it'll happen.
Yeah.
It's kind of
He was paying his mortgage with those inventions,
He
guys.
was.
Like, let's give him some credit. Like,
Yeah, but back in 1984, the mortgages weren't that high.
That's
It wasn't
true.
that expensive
That's
to
true.
live.
And people were hungry for weird inventions.
And
The pet rock was a thing.
and you didn't really
Other
get
stuff.
much of a backstory of the family, which I kind of appreciate. You just kind of jump into the middle of their Christmas celebration and the post high school, pre-college age main character and his girlfriend have some interesting conversations about the holidays and why she hates Christmas and Christmas doesn't really exist in her life and in her world because very sad story, sad ending.
and yet by the end of this movie, she's joyful for Christmas.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
It's like, yes, let's ruin it for everybody.
It's a horrible Christmas.
Yeah, not an ideal Christmas. Not just because of the Gremlins, but also just no good gifts that year.
So the dad goes, he's on, it looks like a Chinatown in like San Francisco or New York, someplace big. And he goes to this shop and he always likes to go to collector shops, like antique stuff, and try to make bargains and sell him his product. And he saw this, he heard the Mogwai, Gizmo, the Mogwai, the little furry animatronic. Oh, and the other thing is no CG in this film. It's all animatronics. It's all puppetry. It was really expensive and crazy to make back then, but they did it.
That's Joe Dante for you, man.
Mm-hmm.
He goes niche, and he goes niche hard.
That's what happens when you have a beatboxing Mogwai.
Was
Was that what it's doing?
My name is Gizmo, I'm here to say.
Yes.
Get that water away from
Yes.
me. Wicca wicca.
So
Nice.
he finds this Mogwai in this store ran by this elderly Chinese gentleman, and his grandson brought the guy in. And the 3 rules.
Don't get them wet. Don't let them in the light or sunlight. It'll kill them.
Mm-hmm.
And don't feed them after midnight. That set time that the entire planet follows.
Yes, it's like it's not midnight anywhere, Love
it.
at any time.
Did you feed them after midnight?
There's lots of plot holes and issues with those rules, but yeah.
You get the infamous 3 rules. He takes it home to his family, who already have a dog. So why get 2 pets? But whatever.
Yeah, but the dog's old.
That's true. Yeah, he's just prepping from the dog and passes on.
Is
Not
that
in the movie.
Is that a trope in movies, like the 3 rules? It has to be, right?
Well, I know. Rule of 3 is a classic storytelling device.
Right.
It's a same for joke delivery.
It's
to have a setup, and then the punchline.
Yeah, it's the same for design in general. Show it to them 3 times, colors or typeface, or when you're teaching a child or teaching an adult, you have to usually repeat it 3 times in order for them. You don't repeat it in a row 3 times. You repeat it to them 3 times, given a space.
So what you guys are saying is that 3 is the magic number.
Yes, it is.
And that any day we're going to get Gremlins 3.
You've never
when we make
seen
it, yeah.
You do. I don't know. I'm going to age myself here and say that I grew up watching things such as Sesame Street, and 3 is the magic number. Yes.
3 burritos.
Yes. The thing that will fill you up the most and make you still hungry later.
There's the 3 amigos.
Yeah.
There's the Return of the Jedi. Return of the nope, too many words. But the 3rd film, actually the 6th in the series,
The Dark Knight.
Oh right, yeah.
There you go. Anyway, so we enjoyed the film. We watched it. We had a couple of good beers. We had some Chinese food prior because we wanted to set the stage. And that was the Chinese food we got here in Portland was really good.
Oh, it was delicious. It was great.
It was a step above standard.
It was much better than an exploding gremlin in a microwave or a ground up gremlin in a blender.
You're not supposed to get him wet. He gets him wet. You're not supposed to feed him after midnight. He fed him after midnight.
Yeah.
He multiplied, and then after you feed him after midnight, they turn into gremlins. Gizmo didn't want to eat after midnight, but the others did.
Yeah, what was up with that?
He's smart. He's like, no, I don't want to do that.
The plot required them to be mean.
Oh, right.
Dan's is more fun, but mine's correct.
Yes. They wanted one of them to remain positive and good while the others went bad.
You guys
to balance them.
You guys have no idea how many rewrites that took.
I'm sure it's a lot. You can read IMDb and see some of the liner notes on it, or go to Rotten Tomatoes. There's a lot of good synopsis about how and why this film did and turned out the way it did, because there was a lot of rewrites.
I still posit that they should have been, when Gizmo got wet and made new Mogwais, they're evil. If they got wet, they should have made good Mogwais. Or copying a copy, they get worse and worse and weirder.
I think that's actually what happens.
Like that.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, they get worse and worse.
Yeah.
So as mentioned, they got wet. They got food after midnight.
They murked that chicken, man.
And they totally then turned into these little cocoon alien looking things. And I swear to God, I was looking at aliens. I was like, they're green, glowing, smoke's coming off them.
Yeah. Would you say this was called a putrid stage?
Yes.
You're like, oh, this
Where's
is aliens.
the glow coming from, by the way?
The light bulb inside that you could see, like we were reading kind of the spoilers. It's like, look for the little green light bulbs inside.
No, you guys don't know this because you don't have them here, but they're like they're fireflies. Gremlins are bioluminescent.
I love those.
This is just me making reasons to write a Gremlins 3 and pitch it and get some of that good Disney money.
Well, the whole thing is you could just, do science experiments. Like this poor science teacher, his old friend that he took the one of the multiplied.
Oh yeah,
Mogwai
he took one of the randos,
and he snuck a sandwich after midnight and totally turned into the cocoon inside of the egg or inside of the cage. And then he opened the cage and the thing popped out and it ate him. It ate his head.
It would have been nice.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that again already.
Yeah.
It would have been a nice one, but he had to go stick it with some needle.
Yeah.
Draw some blood. Gremlins don't like that.
And he couldn't figure out what was in the blood or going on because, of course, he's not that kind of scientist. He's a science teacher.
Yeah. He has some idea about...
The lowest form of scientist.
I don't think a public... Damn, Randall. I don't think a public school is going to have the stuff you need to identify a gremlin.
Yeah. I mean, he saw it multiply, though, because he got it wet and it pop, and he was like, what?
Yeah. Favorite gremlin thing from the movie? Like, for me, it was when they're in the bar and it cuts to that one sitting at a table by itself with, like, sad noir music playing, and I was just going insane. Like, is there acid in my beer? What's happening?
Yeah. there was a bunch of really interesting. They did takes on various films and genres and stuff. As we were talking about, like, oh, you can't get them wet, but they're eating and drinking all kinds of stuff the whole time in the bar scene and in the various buildings they break into, and it's like, wait a second, is it only the ones that do the initial multiplication? Do those initial ones are the ones? And do they keep multiplying them? Do they get worse as they go? And do the rules not apply to them? I mean, they're all sitting in a theater eating and throwing stuff on each other.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And it's like, where'd they all go? Oh, they're watching a film. Because they like music. That's the one thread, is they all love music and love to sing along. Even though they're not supposed to speak English, they were speaking some English.
I know. Yeah, they were really smart for...
They understood how a film projector worked.
Yeah.
And I had to train for a month to learn how that damn thing worked. They got it in like a heartbeat.
Seconds.
All for the plot. All for the...
Yeah.
I
The
get
plot
it.
required them to be smart enough.
Yeah.
It worked. Let's talk about... Well, wait a second. What are we talking about now? The beers?
Oh, we're going to have a commercial break.
Yes.
Gremlins, the latest fun craze that is also legally distinct from Warner Brothers and Amblin Entertainment property known as Gremlins. Gremlins are the best pet for kids of all ages. They do tricks, they don't use the bathroom, and recognize the weak points of humans and can be taught not to strike those. Just be careful. You have to follow 3 key rules before bringing your Gremlin into your home today. Don't let them eat human hair. Keep them away from socialist ideals. Never let them hear music of any kind. I'm serious, not even a casual humming. Don't. Come down to the Gremlin Adoption Agency today.
All right, well, welcome back, everybody, to Movie and a Beer. We've been discussing the movie Gremlins from 1984. Wonderful film. If you haven't seen it,
Okay, take that back.
haven't-
It's not wonderful. It's insane.
It is it's an insane, crazy good film. We enjoyed watching it.
I mean,
and we had great beers to go with it.
That's true.
It's withstood the test of time. Here we are 30, 40,
37.
almost 40 years later.
Talking about this
Talking about...
horrible. So if
In
you've
the movie's
seen...
defense, I do think about Gremlins a lot, just in my free time.
if you've seen the movie Back to the Future, you'll recognize every building. You'll recognize that every tree still has leaves on it, and they have fake blown snow everywhere. I mean, it's just they tried to cut corners where they could because they spent all the money on this animatronics. Because there's no green screen, there's no special effects.
These
It
are
is
all
practical.
live puppets.
Yeah,
Sometimes you even see the hands running them or the stick machines.
yeah, the little
arm... What do they call those? The marionette strings?
Yeah,
or-
the dows?
arbitration.
the armatures.
Armatures, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we knew we were going to watch this film, and we had a couple of backup beers in the fridge. So this was hey, we're going to just grab something and watch this film.
Yeah.
So we had a couple of good ones. The first one was Gold Top Lager from Matchless Brewing.
I think
which
my
is
favorite.
Tumwater, Washington. So this is an American adjunct lager. It's got a nice Pilsner malt. Does have a medium to lower, thinner body.
Yeah.
It's not quite like a Pilsner. It's a little step beyond a Pilsner because it is similar. It does have the grassy herbal note that Pilsners typically do. But I think it stands up a little bit more than a Pilsner does.
Yeah, it had more body, a nicer flavor than most. I mean, I like Pilsners, but they tend to be run-of-the-mill. They're the Mario of beers for me. They're not really anything in any one direction. It's all pretty neutral across the board.
Yeah. So it's a silver can with a gold top, and it has
Very cool.
a gold bar on the... I mean, the label's kind of cheesy. We got it at our local wonderful shop, Mac Wine Cellars, up the street on Killingsworth.
Love that place.
That place is amazing.
Support Tim and Petra when you can. They're amazing people, and they sell good beer, among other things.
I really liked that beer. I thought your recommendation was to drink this one first, and
Yeah.
I thought that was a great call.
Because I had it both, at least Blake and I had it before there at Mac Wine Cellars. So yeah, they do have outside tables, and when it was sunny and nice out a couple weeks ago or a week ago or so, we were hanging out and we tried it because it was new.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, let's do this. So it's, it is a lighter golden color, almost yellowish, nice white frothy head.
Yeah.
The carbonation out of the can stayed pretty well. It didn't fall completely flat really fast, but it still retained its kind of the sweet adjunct aesthetic as it warmed up a little bit, like a typical American adjunct lager, or like a Tecate or Dos Equis, or I called it Tecate Plus.
Great description.
Tecate Pluso.
Yeah.
Incorrecto, sir.
I'm learning French to Duolingo and nothing else.
You get it mixed up. It's all right. So
Yeah, this matched the movie really well, especially the first half.
Yeah.
When it's all set up and sweet and wholesome before all the gremlins get out.
Yeah. And then about halfway through, we popped open. We had a Dead Guy Ale from Rogue Brewing, which started out on the coast of Oregon in Newport and is now here in Portland and has been for a number of years. They've been around for quite a long time. Dead Guy Ale is a pale ale made in a German Maibach style. It's kind of a orangish amber color, really kind of medium body. The head kind of dissipates quickly on it if you do pour it out or just drink it straight from the can.
Yeah.
It kind of has to me, it's a very traditional old school West Coast pale ale because it has kind of that tea, dry leafy hop and kind of nut balance, kind of in the bready, yeasty kind of chew in the mid. So it's a heavier beer. It's not super heavy, but it's 6.8% and 40 IBU. There's going to be some bitterness to it, but it's balanced. Like I said, it's got that nutty kind of sweet bread. We like this one more so after the Gremlins came out.
It matched the hectic, chaotic feel of the movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was nighttime for the rest of the film, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. And so this film actually only takes place over 2 days. He buys them, he brings them home, they turn into it the next day, that night, and then that night, and then the next day, and then that night, and that's it. It's like a 2-day movie.
Things turn pretty fast when you buy a gremlin.
Yeah, they do.
And where'd that dad go? He was traveling all over the place, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was on the road. He was at a
Convention?
convention.
At a convention. Easter egg I forgot about till I was reading up on it on IMDb. The time machine in the background, from one shot to another, vanishes.
Oh, right. Well,
And people were saying around, where did it go?
Where'd it go? I like they had the robot from
Lost in Space.
Lost in Space,
Yes.
the original TV series, the
That's
big
so
bubbly
good.
dude. He was in multiple scenes from that. But so again, 2 winners. The Dead Guy Ale was purchased out of a variety pack from Costco. It was super cheap, and I was like, oh, they actually had a variety pack that had not all IPAs and not just weird stuff. So I got that, and I'm glad that I did because all the beers that they have in this variety pack are really good. But the Dead Guy hasn't really changed a lot over the years. It's been around for over a decade, I think. 2 good beers, went good with the film. Are we going to have another commercial break, or are we going to jump right into our beer name keyword game?
We were going to have one from Peltzer Inventions, but they fell through.
Oh, okay.
Dang it. All right, so which one of these beers was the better beer, you think?
The Gold Top.
The Gold Top, okay.
Yeah.
I'd go with that, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. If we had to rename the Gold Top in honor of this fabulous 1984 film using plot keywords,
Chainsaw Blender.
Chainsaw Blender, it's a good one.
So I'm going to disagree with you on that one. I'm going to
How dare you?
see. So so plot keyword beer name rename game is we look at IMDb, you look at the keywords that are associated, entered by fandom, and we pick a beer, or we're talking about these 2 beers, and we try to pick a different name. And so that's the basis if you haven't heard us do this before. If you scroll back up on the list, because we have it on the big screen in front of us, there is an interesting, keep going, and there is the YMCA spelled out, but we're not going to go with that one.
One word title is the
One-word
keyword. How is that a
title.
help?
Okay,
Yeah.
I want to have a beer called Product Placement.
I saw that too.
That's a perfect name.
I had to fight really hard to
If you
not
were to
say it.
rename
It's like,
if you were to rename the Gold Top, it's product placement all the way.
Because there's a lot of product placement in this film. A lot.
Yeah, Burger King as part of a strip mall for whatever reason. A Budweiser, I think.
Yeah, a lot of Bud. There was a lot of beer drinking. They had Killian's Red.
Oh yeah,
That's right,
They had
right.
it in the film of the bar sign. They had the
Yep.
neon sign in the window that said Irish Red Killian's, and I was like, oh, there it is.
It's nice. I would rename the Gold Top, which was my favorite of the 2 beers. I would rename it Light Sensitivity.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's
Nice
very
name,
good.
right? Yeah, it's it's a light beer, but it's got a sensitive side to it. It's got a little more something to it.
I want to drink a Gremlin Banker.
Oh yes. Hey, how about a Coors beer?
Coors, yeah, there's Coors in it too. Yeah.
So let's rename it Coors
There.
beer.
That seems legally questionable, but let's do it.
The poor girlfriend, she's the bartender of her father's bar.
she kept.
And part of one of the scenes is after the Gremlins multiply
Yes,
in the swimming pool of the YMCA.
The main bad Gremlin Stripe jumps into a swimming pool at the YMCA
and makes a ton of himself. And needless to say, so we were going to talk about that similar. It's like they can drink stuff and not multiply, or eat stuff and not multiply. But if you get them wet, they multiply, which doesn't make any sense.
No sense at all. She was a trooper. She was like, I got to finish this shift.
Yeah, regardless of who's on it. Seriously, she didn't run away. She didn't know what they were.
I remember getting a little mad as a fellow
She's
wage
trying to,
slave, seeing her serve gremlins.
The one that had like 5 cigarettes out of its mouth, and she's trying to
them.
light it, and they kept freaking out. She's like, "Oh, they're afraid of light. Maybe I can get my little Polaroid camera out that only has like 6." It has like 6 bulbs on it, and you can turn it around and do 6 more. And I was like, "Oh, girl, that's not going to last very long." No,
They were really polite gremlins, though.
they were.
Yeah.
They didn't want to bite the hand that was feeding them.
Yeah,
'Cause she
they,
kept
you
giving
know,
them beer,
yeah.
and they kept getting drunk and throwing stuff around and like playing on the jukebox and on the ceiling fan. And
having quiet detective moments.
yes,
Okay,
With a single glass of scotch.
if you could summon an army of gremlins to fight any movie monster, which one would you summon them to fight?
the undead and Army of Darkness.
Oh, nice one.
The skeletons in that, the comedy in that versus the comedy of the
Oh my
Gremlins.
gosh.
That sounds like a crossover right there.
I'd like to see Predator and Gremlins. Can we do
Oh
a
my
crossover?
god, that'd be amazing.
Predator versus Gremlins.
With the gremlin acting like Arnold and saying,
Yes.
just quoting the whole, if it bleeds, we can kill it. Come get me, you son of a bitch. Them covering themselves in mud.
Or Gremlins Muppets crossover movie.
Oh my god.
Well,
yes.
Happy Time Murders times by Gremlins versus Gremlins.
That's true. Let's put him in the MCU. Screw it.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? It's Warner Brothers.
probably-
Let's put him into a Batman movie.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a
there you
DC
go.
property right there.
Yeah.
Let's make it. Although they were watching Snow White.
They were.
Which
So
is
there
crazy.
were Disney references all over the place in the toy store and in the home or the like hardware store that he was in for part of it. Yeah,
I can't wait to start the GCU, the Gremlin Cinematic Universe.
there you go. Just start doing fan fiction.
You've heard it here first, folks.
All right.
I'm going to kick off Gremlins 3 with the post-credits scene where they meet Batman. It's Ben Affleck again, so piss off.
That's awesome.
I liked him as Batman.
That's awesome. So 3 thumbs up on the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Watch it
yeah.
if you haven't seen it. It's hilarious. It'll remind you of the
It's
80s,
bizarre.
early 80s. It's so strange and weird, but it's fun to watch because it kept our attention.
Yeah.
It really did.
It doesn't slow down. It keeps pace and gets you the story you want to see, which is Gremlins getting drunk in a bar and then going to see a movie.
And there's not a lot of dialogue, thank God.
Thank goodness.
And, find a beer you're going to like, a lighter stuff, maybe medium body Pilsner, IPA,
Yeah.
something.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah. So, as always, we want to thank you for joining us for this excellent episode. We really enjoyed watching it and sharing our experiences with you. The opinions expressed during the taping of this episode are those of the hosts. And if you don't hydrate or you do get wet,
Hydrate or gremlinate.
there you go.
Well, that's the story. So next time your air conditioner goes on the fritz or your washing machine blows up or your video recorder cranks out before you call a repairman, turn on all the lights in your podcast app of choice.
Insert gremlin sound.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care.
Good night.